Hi ladies, I'm Rebecca, the founder of the Female Entrepreneurs Network, and welcome to the show. Here you're going to find badass human beings, creatives, adventurous people and massive action takers. If you need any more support or love, head over to the femaleentrepreneursnetwork.com to find everything that you could ever possibly need. Always remember to speak your truth, be who you are, because you are always enough. And there is someone out there who needs to hear your message today. Enjoy this episode, and if you love us, share us with your mates. I love you all. Rebecca. Welcome, Donna, to the podcast and to the Female Entrepreneurs Network.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here. Very excited.
I'm so excited to welcome you. So Donna is a business and success coach for small businesses in the wedding industry. But look, I'm going to let you take over and tell us what you do and how you work with your clients.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I have worked in the wedding industry for 10 years now, and I have recently pivoted into doing coaching, education, providing templates and coaching and support really for small wedding business owners in the wedding industry to help them grow their wedding business. Because what I see a lot of is people in the wedding industry that are super creative and amazing at what they do, but the marketing side of things and the business side of things, they just need that help and support with so that they can grow their business.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? And I think there are so many women in business. Do you specifically work with women?
No, I do. Well, I would say probably 90% of my clients are women for sure. I have had some male clients too, but yeah, the vast majority are women. And I think, I know myself coming from the corporate world, I thought I knew it all about business, and actually having your own business is a totally different kettle of fish. And nobody goes into a business having all that marketing knowledge and knowing all the different things. We have to wear so many hats, and you just learn so much when you start your own business. So it's really to help people and give them that support they need.
And it changes so fast as well, doesn't it? Like the digital online world especially moves so quickly.
Like, it really does. It's scary.
And the thing I love as well, I don't know if I love it or hate it, but like sometimes, I don't know if you find this in your business, but this definitely is the case in my business. Like something will work really, really well for a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden it'll stop working, and I've got to reevaluate like my whole strategy for my business. But sometimes it can be so disheartening. It feels like I failed and I considered giving up, but then I remember that it's just part and parcel of the entrepreneurial world.
Absolutely. And it's about testing things as well, isn't it? We're so overwhelmed with information out there, and people saying, if you do this, you'll be successful. Or if you do the other, you'll be successful. And it's about really understanding your audience and trying and testing different things to see what works. But yeah, you do have to be super fluid and try new things all the time, because especially with the digital age, it's just marketing has changed so much, and I see a lot of people stuck in their sort of old-fashioned types of marketing, relying on print advertising and not really sort of tapping into the potential that you have with digital marketing, and that we can reach. We're so lucky that we've got this opportunity to get visible and in front of so many people these days.
Yeah, it's so easy. And actually what just popped in my head, because I just wrote an article about it for someone, about like, I kind of steer in the conversation in a different direction, but I kind of feel like I need to say it, so I'm just going to say it. Like with the online space and having all these outlets, it is really easy to build our online presence, but then at the same time it can be really addictive and unhealthy as well. And I think it's really important, and I'm saying this because I've learned this myself, and I've found it's really important. Like, I don't have any social media apps on my phone whatsoever.
That's so good.
Facebook.
You're so disciplined. That's really hard.
Not a discipline. What I found was I kept getting really anxious about checking it all the time, and even on the days off when I was with my kids and I was still checking it, and I was like, what am I doing? So
I know, and I've heard my kids say that to me as well. You're always on your phone. And because I think, having come from a corporate job to working in your own business, it's not like you have those set hours, and it's really easy to let them blur into one, isn't it? You know, your personal life and your work life. And when you work from home, and my office is at home, and I'm you know, part of why I started my own business is to have that flexibility around my children. But I have, you know, I've struggled with that myself as well, because although I've got that flexibility and I can do the school pickups and be around for my children what a lot more, I do have to be aware that sometimes I get distracted really easily because I realise I've still got some work to do, or, you know, an email pings, or I feel like I've got to reply to a social media post, and then I feel like I'm not being present with them. So I totally get what you're saying. It's really important to try and not do that. It is tough though. It's really tough. We're so distracted all the time with things, aren't they? And it's about when you're in the moment with your kids, trying to be as present as you can, although, you know, it's not that easy, and I'm certainly not perfect with that. It's something that I have to work on. But you know what kids are like, every now and again they'll give you a reminder. Mum, get off the phone. They're very grounding.
How old are your kids now?
So I have two kids, Eve, who's 10, nearly 11. She's going to high school this September. My goodness, I can't believe that. No, it's scary. And Luca, who is 5. So yeah, they're quite young still, although I keep referring to Eve as young, but she's going to high school, so she's not that little anymore. She's growing up. But yeah, I am, that's one of the massive benefits for me, is being around for them, being able to go to school assemblies and pick them up and take them to school and everything, whereas I wouldn't have been able to do that in my last job.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I can't believe my little girl goes to school for the first time in September.
Oh, it's a big milestone. It's very exciting. Is she looking forward to it?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's so excited. Bless her. She's so funny. So let's come back to you and your journey in your business. So tell me, where did it all begin? Like, how did you know when you were an entrepreneur?
That is a really good question. So I left university and went sort of straight into the corporate world. I worked for my dad for a little bit until I got a permanent job for about 6 months covering someone's maternity leave. My dad was an entrepreneur, so I think maybe I got a little bit of that entrepreneurial genes from my dad. And then my first job was working for a company that supplied mainly Marks and Spencer's, but other high street retailers as well, with handbags and accessories and shoes. And then you know, I loved that job, and it required a lot of travel, and you know, I got to travel all over the world. I was really, really lucky. And then I worked for another company which was more on the retail side of things, and then I had Eve, and I just thought, oh my goodness, you know, when I was pregnant, I was a bit naive. I thought it'd be fine going back to work.
I felt like that when I had my little girl.
And I spent a lot of my maternity leave worrying about going back to work and thinking, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to work long hours? How am I going to travel to the Far East for a couple of weeks? How am I going to fit my work life in with having a baby, those new challenges of being a mum? And I actually suffered really badly with postnatal anxiety when I had Eve, and the worry of going back to work definitely made it worse. And then I went back to work, and I didn't get that support and flexibility that I was hoping to get when I went back. So, and you know, it's a really tough choice for women, isn't it? I think even in today's age, it's almost like we feel like we've got to be one or the other. We can't have a career and be a parent. And when I went back and I didn't get the support that I wanted, it just made me question why do I have to give up my career to be a mum? Why should I have to do that? So what was a very difficult period of time was actually a massive nudge from the universe to go and chase my dreams. So I had spent some time dreaming about having my own business for a couple of years before I actually made the plunge, and having Eve and going back to work, it just gave me that shove to actually get on and do it, chase my dreams. Instead of thinking about how I was going to start a business and what I was going to do, I actually had to make that decision. Was I going to travel around the world and do this job and not see very much of my daughter and her growing up, or was I going to be around for her, start my own business and chase my dreams? And I decided that I was going to do that. So prior to my coaching and education business that I've got for Wedding Pros, I bought a venue styling franchise, and that was the beginning of it, really, in the wedding industry. So I bought a venue styling business, and it just went from there.
Styling. So how did it happen that it was a wedding styling business? Like, what was that process that you went through? Because of all things that you could have done.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think I'd always had a bit of a creative side to me. So when I was at school, I really loved art and design, and I studied textiles along with business management at university. And I really, wanted to explore that creative side, but I'm also quite, quite good with organising and stuff. And I thought, how am I going to tie those things together? So my first initial idea was to be a wedding planner, and I actually went on a course and trained to be a wedding planner. And then whilst I was on maternity leave and I was just, dreaming about having my own business and what can I do, I was just Googling for wedding jobs and having a look what was out there. And I just happened upon, isn't it weird how fate sometimes things just present themselves at the exact right moment. So I was Googling into looking at wedding planning and then looking at wedding styling, because obviously those two things can sometimes go hand in hand. And I came across this venue styling company that did franchises. And at first, my initial thought was, I don't know if I want to do a franchise, because I want to start from scratch and do it all my own way rather than buy a franchise. And I actually sought my dad's advice on that, and I said, oh Dad, what do you think? Should I start a wedding planning and styling business on my own? I've seen this franchise, what do you think? And my dad actually said to me, don't dismiss the idea of doing a franchise. You'll be able to, you need a salary as well as being able to do a job that you want and be around for your daughter, but you do need a salary too. And this way, having a franchise, you'll be able to start your own business, but you'll be able to start from the ground running. You'll be able to bring an income in pretty quick, rather than it taking a year or two to start bringing that money in. So I just decided to explore that opportunity, and it was just by chance that a franchise had come for sale in the exact area that I lived in. So talk about fate. I know. So I rang up and inquired, and they were like, yeah, it's just come on the market. The lady that currently owned it, she was a teacher, and she was just doing it on the side as a bit of a hobby business, and she wanted to sell and go back into teaching full time. And that was that, really. So I went and met with head office. They really liked me. I was really excited about the business, and I bought it. So yeah, it was divine timing, really.
Amazing. And how long have you had that business for?
So this is my 10th year in business.
Wow.
I know. I can't believe it. The last 10 years have gone so fast. And it wasn't providing a full-time wage when I bought it, but I quickly, because I put, what's that saying about your energy going where your focus is, and
where
energy flows where your attention goes. Yeah. And that's what happened with the business. So as soon as I took it over and focused all my energy on it, I was so determined to make it work. I really wanted to be around for Eve, and I loved what I did. It didn't feel like work. So as soon as I sort of went all in on that, it just took off, and I loved it. It was like the best thing ever. It was perfect for what I wanted. It meant that I could be around, and although I was working weekends, my husband was around at weekends, so he could look after Eve. So it just slotted in really well with my life at the time.
That's good. That's amazing. It's funny, isn't it, like how life just happens, and how when we surrender and we accept and trust that something's going to happen that needs to happen, it does.
Yeah, it was so weird. What are the chances of that happening and that business becoming available within my geographical area at that specific time? It was like it was meant to be.
Yeah, definitely. So you took over the business then, and you quickly grew it. Did you win some award? Was it like the fastest growing franchise, or?
Yeah, I became like the best selling franchise in the network. So after a few years, they actually took me on to train their other franchisees coming into the business. So that was great. So yeah, and then I got nominated for a few awards along the way. I was was it 2018? I was nominated for the Working Mums HSBC Franchise of the Year award.
More about it.
Final. Yeah, so I got to the final for that. I didn't win it, but I got to the final, and for me that was just amazing.
Incredible, yeah.
So that was exciting.
You won the award of the finalist, didn't you? So you were still a finalist.
I was a finalist, yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, I loved it, and I got a good reputation in the area, because as a venue stylist, there are lots of venue stylists out there, but what's important for a lot of the venues that I work at is that they have someone reliable that's going to turn up and do the job when they say they're going to do it, and that, you know, they'll do a great job. And I'm very proud that I've got 100% client satisfaction over these 10 years. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey. It's not all been plain sailing though. It's hard. I had a few bumps along the road. Next, tell you.
Yeah, I was literally just going to ask you. It's like you read my mind. What was the challenges along the way?
So I think when I first started, it was less of a saturated market, and I was focusing more on, it was more sort of, you know, linens and chair covers and that kind of product. And then more and more people started coming to that market. It started getting more difficult to stand out. So, and then I had my second child, Luca, and he was a really, I don't want to call him a difficult baby, that sounds terrible, but he didn't sleep. So I was very sleep deprived. I took my eye off the ball with the business. Things were getting more difficult within the market anyway, and my business started to suffer. Like, as I started, you know, you don't have a proper maternity leave when you work for yourself, obviously, but I was definitely making less effort. I was really exhausted, and I wasn't getting the leads in and converting them like I had been doing in the past. And I think also what was happening was, I know the recession had been a few years before Luca had born, but it was starting to hit the wedding industry because people had delayed their weddings. So I was getting less business in. It was much more saturated. I got 2 kids, wasn't sleeping much, and things just did start to unravel really. Whereas before I hadn't had to put in as much of that sort of marketing strategy in place. I just lived off referrals and my reputation. It suddenly became apparent that I needed to step my game up. So I did even think, oh God, what should I do? Should I, you know, do I need to go get a part-time job? And then I thought, no, come on, Donna, don't panic. You can do this. You just need to start focusing your energy back on your business again. So what I did was I decided to learn all things marketing, and I got a business coach, and that's what changed everything for me. Instead of relying on referrals and my reputation, I was much more proactive, and I definitely developed a really big passion for marketing. I loved it. Even though I'd got a business background as a product developer and I'd worked with the marketing team, you know, marketing as a small business owner is totally different. And I just loved all this new knowledge that I was gaining, and used that to come up with brilliant offers. I worked on my sales techniques, you know, all the different things that you need to know as a small business owner. And I realised that I'd been quite what's the word, not cocky, but I just hadn't, I thought I knew a lot, and actually I didn't know as much as I thought, and I really needed to step my game up.
I experienced that as well, like, and I'm really bad for it even now. Like, and I'm so aware of it. I think that's always, when people ask me what my weakness is, that's what my weakness is. I think I know everything, but
Yeah.
I think I know everything, but I seem to have this persona that always crops up that's like, Rebecca, you know what you do, but then it holds me back. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I've gone through the education system, and I've been at uni, and I've been on training courses throughout my corporate life and stuff, but what I've realised is you never know it all. There's always new stuff to learn, and I'm an avid learner, and I've definitely got, over the last few years, a new passion for learning stuff. In fact, I'm probably a bit of a course addict. I'm trying to trying to stop buying courses, but it's because every time I do some training or a course, or I work with a coach, I move on that bit more and learn something new, and it becomes addictive, doesn't it? You know, learning all these new things. It's just really fantastic.
Amazing. And they say, don't they, like, if you're not learning and moving, you're dying, really.
Yeah, and that was another big thing for me, is that you can't go it alone. You know, I was very much a one woman band, and I felt like I knew what I was doing, and I did to a certain degree. But I think the more you realise that when you collaborate and work with others and learn from others, especially people that are a few steps ahead of you, the quicker you're going to get to where you want to be, and the more fun business is. You know, it's lonely working on your own, and I love collaborating with other people. Networking with other people. You know, it's all too easy to sit behind your desk when you work for yourself and not have that human interaction with other people. So I'm all for sort of learning and working with others and collaborating. It means you know, work's more fun, and you get where you want to be a lot faster.
It makes such a difference, doesn't it? Like, I know I've got a couple of friends that I like message and voice note every single day.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for them friends, I would go absolutely insane.
Yeah, you need it, don't you? You absolutely need it. And I went on a business retreat with my business coach last year, and you know, even though I was in this group coaching program and we spoke to each other in the Facebook group and on Zoom calls and things like that, actually meeting people and connecting in person, you know, the room was so full of energy, and it was so lovely to meet with other like-minded people, all wanting the same thing. We all sort of encourage each other and support each other, and just meeting in person. I'm a bit of a hugger, you know, it's lovely to hug people in real life and connect with them and share stories and stuff. So you know, that was I came home and my husband was like, how was the retreat, did you really enjoy it? And I was like, God, it was amazing. And just connecting and with other people when you sat at your own sat on your own behind your desk at home so often, you know, that's really important. It's to get out there and be with other people.
Yeah, definitely. So what would you say has been like the biggest contribution to your success?
Oh, biggest contribution to my success, that's a good one. I think being an avid learner for sure, not trying to do it alone, working with someone that is a few steps ahead of you, that can sort of guide you and give you more of the shortcuts to where you want to be, being really open to suggestions from other people, and sort of from a personal point of view, probably that I'm quite stubborn. And I'm not one for giving up. So yeah, I think, you know, because it is tough at times, isn't it, working for yourself? There are occasions where you think, God, what am I doing? Is this the right thing? Should I give up? So I think stubbornness and being determined and knowing that the hard times will pass and that you will get through them. I've definitely worked on my mindset a lot more the last year, and have an awareness over how not having a good mindset can hold you back. So having awareness over that has helped a lot as well.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? Like, yeah, I think that's key, isn't it? Number one, mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out, or who has an idea and hasn't taken any steps towards it yet?
Just get going. I think we can think that we need to get all our ducks in a row before we start our business, but really it's just about getting going and getting some momentum, networking, getting out there, introducing yourself to people, and don't try and be a perfectionist. Progress over perfectionism all the time. I think that can be a way of actually causing us to procrastinate and put things off until it's the exact right thing. You know, we wait until we've got a perfect website, a logo, and actually that kind of stuff's not that important. I think it's more about just getting out there and getting started, and then you get that momentum and things will move on from that. So yeah, my advice would be to just get out there and don't worry if you haven't got everything perfect, because if you wait till it's perfect, you've probably waited too long.
Yeah, yes, it's so true. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Our piece stuff, the neuro-linguistic programming, there's a technique where you can stop yourself from procrastinating.
Oh really? You'll have to teach me that.
Yeah, oh, it's so good. So I'll tell you really quickly, because it's really easy to do. you just need to change your internal representation of procrastination to action. Yeah, and it's really straightforward. So I did that basically. So these days I literally just do shit. Like I just so much done, and people are always like, how do you do so much? I'm like, I just do it. Like I just do. I don't think once I've got an idea I just do it. And I think that's a really good thing to live by. Like
definitely.
it drives me insane when he's like, oh yeah, well that needs doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do it. Let's do it now.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that. I get really overexcited and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I've got to do it now. I think my problem is that I tend to get too excited about too many different things, and it's just sort of remaining focused on one thing at a time.
What's your best tip then for someone who's like so multi-passionate? Because I'm like that, like so multi-passionate. What's your tip then on?
Definitely just focusing one thing. I read a book last year that someone recommended to me called The One Thing, and that's really powerful because the book talks about, you know, how if you focus on one thing you'll get so much more momentum and get things done, and it's and how you'll achieve more success with just focusing on one thing at a time. So I'd go read that book. That would be my recommendation. It's really tough, and it's something I've struggled with, but yeah, just the one thing is that's going to get you closer to where you want to be. There's so many different things we could be doing, but yeah, just concentrating on one goal, one action, and going all in on that.
Glad I asked that question. So much for being with us today. It's so amazing to chat to you and learn more about you and what you do.
Well, thank you for having me.
There was one thing that you could leave with our listeners, what would it be?
One thing. Now you're putting me on the spot. I think when I first started doing the business coaching side of things, and there was something that really struck home with me from a mentor that I've worked with in the past. I bought his program, Todd Herman, and he talks about imposter syndrome, and that was like a massive revelation to me, because when I first started the business coaching, I had terrible imposter syndrome. I was thinking, even though I've got like, you know, several years of experience and, you know, I had a successful business, that little voice was coming in. Are you sure you can do this? How do you know you're good enough? And when I heard that imposter syndrome was an actual thing, I was like, oh my God, other people feel like that too. So I guess I would just say, you know, don't listen to the doubting voice that you will hear. Just, you know that is normal, and that a lot of us feel like that, because I think when you know that you're not alone in those thoughts, it makes you take the action, because you think it's just you, and it can put you off starting your business, but a lot of people feel like that.
That's such a good tip. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me. It's lovely to chat to you.
Thank you for being here. Don't forget to always speak your truth and be who you are, because there is someone out there today who needs to hear your message. And if you need anything from us at all, head over to thefemaleentrepreneursnetwork.com and check us out. You'll find everything you could possibly need over there. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.